So, Punk, let me ask you, we're talking about the name. What was the moment? Like, as a kid, what do you remember about wrestling that made you fall in love with it? And who was the wrestler that made you go, wow, I love this?
100% Roddy Piper, but I was born and raised in Chicago. So the first time I saw wrestling had to be like some Saturday Night's Main Event stuff, right? Like maybe I was trying to watch Saturday Night Live. I was a little kid, and like you see this insane production where people are beating the crap out of each other, and they're, you know, like. But man, it was so long ago, and I'm so old now. It's like hard to. Everything's starting to get a little fuzzy from back then, you know.
I understand that.
But that was the time. So I didn't know wrestling existed like outside of this. So I was very much a Chicago, you know, Midwest WWF kid. You know, it wasn't until like I realized, you know, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, that I discovered like everything else like outside of it, and how great like the business was even prior to that giant boom in the 80s, you know, just. So I think there's not a lot of wrestling historians left.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm one, but we're running out of guys, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, the people who have lived it and worked in it and grew up fans and got in the business the right way, you know, there's only a handful of them left. So, and I feel like I'm of the age now where I might be one of those guys now.
With the storylines and with everything that, you know, as fans, our belief goes into, I feel like, you know, feel like, you know, I've been through these things with you. I know, you know, as a fan, there were many times where, like, I hated guys. You know, I don't like you.
You're doing your job right.
When I first met Chris Jericho, I told him to his face, I hated your guts. Couldn't stand you. Like, now I understand what you were doing, which means you were great at your job. But like, as a fan, were there guys that are like, well, who are the guys that you hated, that you couldn't stand?
Oh man,
just as a fan.
If you like Piper, you probably didn't like Hogan, right?
Yeah, but I'm trying to think if there was somebody. You know, I'm trying to figure out the timeline of like when I was watching wrestling and then when I really kind of became like a smart wrestling fan.
Yeah.
You know, so like everybody kind of has that
moment,
that rebirth where they're like, oh, and then things kind of do change because you do realize like, oh, this person is the character. I've worked some really strong baby faces in my career. I've been really fortunate to be across the ring from guys that the people really believed in and really loved.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I can narrow or single out a wrestler that I hated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Aside from being, you know, a smart wrestling fan who's like, oh, I hate that guy because he doesn't know how to work. You know, like, that. Yeah. Like there wasn't any like visceral like hatred. Like I would watch Hogan wrestle Andre and Bobby Heenan, and I wouldn't be like, man, I hate these guys. I think I was just, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I think I was just too
kind of in tune.
Maybe in tune, not like in the know, because you know, like I wouldn't have been like, oh, this is all phony.
Yeah. But you get it.
But you're on the fence. You're like, I don't know if this is all on the level, but yeah.
I'm gonna let you know right now. I couldn't stand you when you cashed in on Jeff Hardy.
Good. That was
the
desired result.
It was such a level of aggravation. It was just like, of course, this is the dumbest rule. This briefcase needs to be out of here.
Do anything.
Yeah, like everything, dude. I couldn't. Hated you guys, man.
Good.
You're chill now.
Good.
You know, you're a good dude.